Coming up, an electronic rock musician shares their upcoming project, and Santa Fe prepares for Indian market. The Wheelwright Curator paints a picture of what to expect. Plus, Alaska Native STEM students fly thousands of miles to sign a historic job agreement in Washington, D.C. I am Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for those interviews plus headlines from the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Hopa. Thank you for joining us. We start today with members of the Not Invisible Act Commission who have wrapped up their 8th and final public hearing. Introduced by then Representative Deb Haaland, the Not Invisible Act was passed into federal law in October 2020. Its ultimate goal is to increase coordination between government agencies to identify and combat violent crimes against Native Americans. The Not Invisible Act Commission was created as part of that work. It is made up of law enforcement, leaders of Native nations, federal partners, family members of victims, and survivors. The commission started its hearings in March and has held 7 public hearings across the country, as well as a 2-day national virtual hearing. The goal was to hear directly from those affected by the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples crisis. Now, the commissioners are set to report their findings and recommendations to Congress and federal agencies. Hearings were held in Oklahoma, Alaska, Arizona, Minnesota, California, New Mexico, and Montana. In Oklahoma, existing tobacco sales agreements between tribes and the state will remain intact for another year despite a high official's objection. 2/3 of the Oklahoma House voted to override the governor's veto on a bill that extends existing agreements to the end of 2024. This is just the latest in an ongoing dispute between Governor Kevin Stitt, who is a Cherokee citizen, and several tribal nations. Stitt wants the compact's language adjusted so tribes cannot expand tobacco sales as a result of the 2020 Supreme Court decision that upheld the Muskogee Nation's reservation boundaries. Senate President Greg Treat says he wants to give Stitt more time to renegotiate and is threatening to give the legislature a greater role in compact negotiations if the governor does not act in good faith. The governor's office has filed a lawsuit against Treat and others in the state Supreme Court seeking clarification on who has the authority to negotiate compacts with the tribes. The current compact split the tax revenue evenly between the state and tribes, generating tens of millions of dollars each year. In Denver, Colorado, the American Bar Association has sworn in its first female Native American president. Mary Smith, a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, was handed the gavel last week at the ABA's House of Delegates meeting. She is the 147th president and was sworn into office by the dean of the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona State University and fellow Cherokee Nation citizen Stacy Leeds. Dozens of Indigenous legal professionals attended the history-making ceremony. Smith told ICT she recognizes the significance of her accomplishment and hopes to inspire others.
It means a lot to be representing the American Bar Association. We are the largest voluntary bar association in the world, and I'm particularly cognizant that I'm the first Native American woman to hold this role, and I think that means a lot to the Native community, but to a lot of other people too, because if I can inspire just one young person, I will feel especially honored.
Previously, Smith served as the president of the National Native American Bar Association and is the creator of the Caroline and Ora Smith Foundation. Named after her mother and grandmother, the foundation trains Native American girls in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Well, fun news for you board game players. Indigenous representation is expanding in the industry. Navajo-designed board game Burn the Fort is centered around Indigenous resistance. Players take the role of a historic warrior, fighting against a colonial invasion of their lands through trading cards and battling military forces. Dene filmmaker, artist, and activist Clee Benally created the game to combat stereotypes around Indigenous communities.
I developed a board game called Burn the Fort to challenge the existing narratives within the board game industry of colonial occupation, resource extraction, and exploitation. And so this board game is called Burn the Fort, and you play as one of 6 Indigenous warriors that are trying to stop colonial invasion of your lands.
Burn the Fort will be available for purchase online and in select stores this fall. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. A debut album is on the horizon for electronic rock artist Marks Cassidy says they are inspired to use music to bring visibility to the struggles of Indigi-queer people. Marks is also a trauma therapist for Native American LGBTQ+ clients. Hi, Marks, and welcome to the ICT Newscast.
Hello, thank you so much.
Tell us about the upcoming album and the single coming out soon.
Yes, well, we're dropping the first single. It's called How Long, and it depicts kind of colonization and through religious trauma of a young Indigi-queer person, and also collective community healing. I made this video in Portland, Oregon, with the Portland All Nations Canoe family, as well as Silas Hopper, was known as Mr. Montana Two-Spirit, and works with Indigenous youth in Portland. And I grew up in the Osage Nation of Oklahoma, and so I came home to Oklahoma and I filmed contemporary Two-Spirit portraits as well. And so the theme is all around collective healing, decolonization of sexuality and gender, and Indigi-queer Two-Spirit resilience.
And how did you start making music to begin with?
I came in singing and listening and talking and all the things. Being 3 years old, singing into my thumb, singing Johnny Cash, with my aunties sitting around clapping for me, that kind of thing. And but then trained. I grew up in Ponca City, Oklahoma, where I had good music training. Went into being a piano major at Oklahoma State University. But in the 80s, I was in the midst of the AIDS crisis. I came out I was a tomboy out on the reservation, and that went okay. But when I came out as a queer person, an LGBTQ person, Indigi-queer, Two-Spirit person in the late 80s, that was harder because of colonization impacting the institutions and adults around me. And so I dropped out of music school and I became a nurse, and I've gone on to be a nurse and on to be a trauma therapist, training at Native American Health Center of San Francisco and Indian Country Child Trauma Center at OU. And so now I get to combine all of it together and try to make a difference with Indian Collective's Radical Imagination Grant and Osage Nation Foundation. That's what I've been trying to do this year.
You mentioned earlier that much of your work hopes to create collective healing within the LGBTQ+ community. Can you tell us exactly what kinds of healing that you envision?
Yes, well, it's beyond just that community. It's all of our communities. When we uplift and decolonize sexuality and gender, we are uplifting all of our communities, everyone in our communities. This is nothing new. Indigi-queer, gender diversity, that's not new. That's very old. And I like to, talk about that. We have words in our different nations that are old words besides Two-Spirit, and those words are still alive. And people, sometimes they don't use Indigi-queer Two-Spirit. They use their own words for that. And so, I just like to talk about, if we talk about land back and the Land Back Manifesto of returning land and medicine and education and our kinship, that under kinship is also our ability for our Two-Spirit, Indigi-queer, gender diverse people, nothing new, to just come back into being, return, and be honored and visible, and that uplifts all of us.
You mentioned earlier that you received a Radical Imagination Experience grant from Indian Collective. Tell us more about that and the upcoming reception in Santa Fe.
Yes, well, so the Radical Imagination Art, Indian Collective believes that artists are a way, medicine makers, and a way of bringing us into upliftment and, activism and all sorts of ways we do that through, being on the streets and protesting and voting, but also our artists, expressing that that's important. So they grant artists, and the 10 of us, the Radical Imagination cohort of 21, we'll get together at Site Santa Fe on Friday the 18th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. We have visual artists and speakers and people working with plant medicine and plants and earth and movement and illustrators and coloring books. And in the evening time, we'll have a concert where I'll premiere this video for How Long. And Frank Wan and Dakota Camacho and Mike Jordan and I will be singing and performing for folks that evening, all at Site Santa Fe on Friday the 18th. Really exciting. We've all been working really hard on these projects for a year, and for all of us to come together and get to share it is super exciting.
Absolutely, and I'll definitely have to look for the photos. I won't get to go this year, but thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Waving.
The circle of life begins with the birth of a child, and that journey begins with pregnancy. People who are pregnant or who have had a baby know their bodies and know when something does not feel right. When they speak, we must listen. Hear her. Learn more at cdc.gov/hearher/AIAN.
Native American art is synonymous with Santa Fe, and thousands of artists and tourists are starting to arrive in New Mexico for the annual event nicknamed Indian Market. The Southwestern Association for Indian Arts sponsors the nation's premier event, and it goes well beyond visual arts. ICT Shirley Snavy spoke with Andrea Hanley, the chief curator of the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian.
Indian Market has been ongoing since 1922 and has been drawing visitors to New Mexico's Santa Fe every August to see and buy work, including sculptures and paintings and jewelry and beadwork from Indigenous artists representing more than 200 plus federally recognized tribes. So the Indian Market oversees juried competitions. It offers big prizes to the best of Native American art annually. And they have really largely attended events like the SWIA Gala. It also engages people through their new SWIA fashion show, which is very, very exciting. And we here at the Wheelwright are so pleased to see that Indian Market is thriving, and artists and the staff of SWIA are more innovative, focused, self-reliant, and nimble more than ever. And we're excited to see new and familiar visitors to Santa Fe, to see new artworks, friends, family, community, and to share camaraderie and conversations. And if you haven't been to Santa Fe, the experience of a lifetime here at Indian Market.
The main Indian Market takes place on the plaza, but the whole region has something to offer. The Wheelwright is located on Museum Hill and showcases a number of artists and special events. Hanley describes one of the featured exhibits.
I was very, very excited to curate an exhibition that's currently on display at the Wheelwright called California Stars, Huva Nutsvi Putsvi, which explores the impact of multi-generations of first California artists, and loosely translated Huvanatsi Putsvi in the Chemehuevi language means stars with us and or around us. And this really sort of illuminates the illumination and the inspiration that these stellar artists have provided, influencing the Native American contemporary art field for more than 6 decades. And so these artists that we selected for this exhibition work across varied media to develop richly layered work that inspired by tradition, by both personal experience, spirituality, and traditions. They speak to the complexity of everyday life of Native Americans who are frequently forced to negotiate misrepresentation and encroachment on land, culture, and values. And in doing so, they emphasize questions around identity, Indigenous resilience, and social justice. Today, California is the location of diverse tribal communities, and the cumulative impact of extractive colonialism continues to have negative impacts. Nevertheless, these generations of artists guide us toward a deeper understanding of the complexity of these issues for them, and they invite us to witness and experience this in this exhibition. Again, I think that when I was organizing this exhibition, I was looking at really kind of thinking about the relationship that the Wheelwright has had with many very important contemporary Indian artists for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, Fritz Scholder, who is Lisueño and considered one of the superstars of the contemporary Indian art world, I believe had one of his first solo exhibitions with the Wheelwright back in the early 70s. And so when you think about this is a 50-year relationship that the Wheelwright has had. Again, we looked at iconic and lesser known works from both the Wheelwright's permanent collection, and we borrowed pieces. And then we also had works that were created for the exhibition. But again, this really was to kind of think about the impact that the Wheelwright has had, and also the relationship that the Wheelwright has had in working with and bringing attention to both established and emerging Native artists in solo exhibitions as well as surveys. And I think that we had talked a little bit about one particular artist, which was Harry Fonseca, who was Maidu, Native Hawaiian, and Portuguese. Harry had passed away in 2006, but he had really sort of was a really well-known icon here in New Mexico. He had a studio here in Santa Fe for years. He was best known for his series of coyotes. Fonseca used the trickster figure as a vibrant and kind of a humorous stand-in for himself as he critiqued aspects of mainstream American culture. He challenged Native American stereotypes, and he also addressed issues around sexual identity. He also brought together influences ranging from Maidu tradition, basketry, mythology to graffiti. He also was very involved later on, early in his career, with the resurgence of Maidu dance and traditional ways. And later in his career, by around the 1990s, he shifted his focus to questions around self-determination and historic genocide of First Californians. A really, really important person in the Native American fine art field, someone who the Wheelwright had a really beautiful relationship. After he passed in 2006, his estate gave us numerous pieces from his studio, and again, we continued to use those pieces and loan those pieces to numerous institutions, as well as having them on display right now.
In Lincoln, Nebraska, Shirley Snavy, ICT News.
Several of our colleagues from ICT will be at Indian Market on the Plaza in Santa Fe, so stop by and meet our team if you get the chance. Last month, Indigenous STEM students traveled to Washington, D.C. to celebrate an increase in federal job access for Alaska Natives. Representatives and students from the Alaska Native Science and Engineering program partnered with the Department of the Interior to sign an agreement guaranteeing non-competitive federal jobs in the future. UPIC student Tatiana Corthias and Koyukon Athabaskan Assistant Director Naisa Murphy from ANSEP join us now to talk about the partnership. Welcome to the ICT Newscast, Naisa and Tatiana.
Thank you. We're excited to be here.
Naisa, let's start with you. Tell us about ANSEP and how this partnership came to be.
ANSEP is a wonderful program. It's the Alaska Native Science and Engineering program, and it's a longitudinal design. So it works with students as early as elementary age all the way through a PhD. And it has really grown exponentially since it was founded in 1995 with just one student. Today, ANSEP has worked with over 100 communities and has over 3,000 current students and ANSEP alumni working in STEM.
Tatiana, how did it feel to travel so far from home to meet Interior Secretary Deb Haaland and represent Alaska Natives in that way?
It was definitely exciting. Exciting to meet Deb Haaland and her staff. It was very eye-opening traveling to the other side of the country, coming from Alaska, going to Washington, D.C., seeing that, what it's like to live in a city coming from a small town.
Naisa, let's go back to you. We know that the STEM field is lacking Indigenous representation. Why are Native voices and contributions in science and engineering so needed right now?
I think that to see someone in a professional aspect is really essential for the youth who are growing up to see that this is an opportunity for them and this is something that they are able to do. And I think ANSEP has been addressing this in a very meaningful way by doing career explorations and STEM activities with the middle school academy and different components. They bring in experts in STEM fields such as biologists and geologists, engineers, to not only teach students that this is accessible and what their careers look like, but that they can ask questions and it can be fun, and they will support them through their journey.
Tatiana, when did you first learn of ANSEP and how has it helped you so far?
So I've been with the ANSEP program for 11 years now. I learned about ANSEP in 5th grade, and I remember being so excited going into 6th grade to start the ANSEP program. So I've been with them since middle school, then throughout high school, and now I'm currently an undergraduate student. ANSEP has definitely supported me through my academics, helped provide different internships, including in the professional setting, but also in the field. They've also helped me network, make connections out there in the work environment.
Tatiana, tell us what you plan to study and what your ultimate hopes are with your career.
So I am currently at the University of Alaska Anchorage studying natural sciences with a concentration in environmental science. Once I graduate, I plan on working here in Alaska with one of ANSEP's partner organizations.
And I'd actually love to learn, Tatiana, as you speak to your peers who are also Alaska Native, what do they tell you the importance of ANSEP is in their own lives and careers?
I feel like within the ANSEP community, we're very connected. We work together both in school, but we also help each other just in life in general. So I feel like it's a supportive community. So making those connections has been very helpful.
Naisa, I want to go back to you. Can you explain in more details the requirements of this agreement that was signed? I read that there was a direct hire authority clause that was included, but what exactly does that mean?
So the direct hire authority means that ANSEP students can be hired by the University of Alaska so that they can intern every summer. Every university success student is required to complete a summer internship as part of the ANSEP program. And so having this partnership and the direct hire authority gives them not only an internship opportunity, but even a professional opportunity for when they graduate. However, these professional opportunities require a certain number of working hours, and that can be a barrier for students applying. And even the time with the federal government to be hired once you have enough working hours and you have a diploma prevents students from being hired to the federal government. And so the direct hire authority closes this by the students being employed and receiving those necessary working hours during their undergraduate degree. So when they graduate, they have the experience and the qualifications to be hired directly.
You mentioned that these folks would be hired by the federal government, but tell us exactly what kinds of jobs those people would be hired for.
I think that the field is so expansive, it's hard to just name one or two. But I think what stands out to me the most is the number of bureaus that DOI represents. And so this opportunity is not just one thing with DOI, but it is the Borough Land Management, it is the National Park Service, it is USGS, BESI, BOEM, all of these organizations that are fundamental to each and every state and really gives us the opportunity to connect with our own states and to actively work for the land and with the communities.
Well, Naisa and Tatiana, we thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having us.
And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.